Well, how you doing, folks? Hopefully you're all doing well. Hopefully you feel the love of God and feel my love and big hugs and things. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the struggles in spiritual life, some pitfalls, and some things you can do when you're not feeling as encouraged as you normally would. Sometimes we all have these moments where we're not 100% sure what we're doing on the spiritual path, but I will do two things here real quick. One is I'm going to encourage you. Wait. Excuse me, hairball. I will encourage you to wholeheartedly continue. Sometimes, even when you're not like super feeling into it, it can still be very worth it to continue and to press on. The other thing I will encourage you to do, however, is if you feel like you've been doing similar spiritual exercises and practices for a while, and you feel like they're not helping you as much as they used to, well, sometimes that's simply the way things go for a little while. Excuse me, I keep getting this thing where like I'll start talking and the next thing I know, I get like a tickle in my throat. Anyway, it's always important to remember that it's okay to refresh and that you don't necessarily need to simply repeat. What is this? There, I already have a lot of those. That you don't necessarily just need to repeat over and over again what you're gonna do or why you're doing what you're doing. But sometimes it's good to mix things up a little bit. Now, I would encourage you, if you are with a guru or if you're with a path that has really been working for you and then it just, for whatever reason, starts to feel like it's not working as well as it used to, continue on that path. Don't just oh, I'm having a bad week, so now it's time to give up. Like, oh man, I've been meditating for years, but this week I'm having a hard time meditating. I guess that means I should just stop meditating, right? It's like, no, that's silly. That's a silly thing to say. But we can feel that way sometimes. So I will encourage you to continue forward, to continue attempting to improve yourself and attempting to continue to get closer to God or whatever your particular spiritual engagement is about. And I will say that, hey, I also know some people who maybe they're younger or, have very family members that don't necessarily support what they're doing. It's like, hey, understand that sometimes difficulty is very good for us to go through, and that sometimes, in a lot of cases, that's just people doing it out of concern. And sometimes people can show concern in bad ways, or they think that they're doing the right thing for you, and in actuality, they're just acting out of fear. And I understand that can be very difficult, and sometimes you don't know how to deal with that. But you should know that it's always okay to, take a break as well. It's okay to reevaluate, like, what am I trying to accomplish? What am I doing? Maybe your prayers become mechanical. Sometimes that happens to folks, and sometimes that just means that you need to just, go back and, maybe practice in a different way. Or maybe if you're, maybe you pray to one particular form of God, maybe you should try praying to something a little different. Maybe you should try mixing it up. But ultimately, the biggest thing is to not give up, to understand that even though there are difficulties and things like that, that you should not give up, and that you should always be willing to push forward and attempt to do better, even when you're not 100% sure what you're trying to go for. Sometimes one of the most difficult parts about spirituality is attempting to discover, yourself, and attempting to discover, what are you actually practicing for? Why are you practicing? And are you doing it for the right reasons? Hey, not that. I'd prefer it if you didn't. I have my spirit buddy here. And understand that it's also okay to feel vulnerable. It's okay to have moments where you feel like you're not 100% sure what you're doing and you need guidance. And sometimes it's really okay to just understand that maybe guidance can take a while to come to you, or maybe God's trying to show you something that you don't necessarily understand, but you can still, you know, attempt to reconnect with God and attempt to understand why maybe you feel differently than you have in the past, and things like that. But, and I would also say that one of the most important things on the spiritual path is earnestness. It is the, you're not doing it because, hey, it makes you look good to be on the spiritual path. You're not doing it because you want the praise and accolades of people around you. It's nothing like that. You're doing spirituality for yourself and to get closer to God. You're doing spirituality so that you can benefit, so that you can have a better life, so that the world can be better around you. It's not just, so that, you can be accepted into a particular group. And yes, sometimes with certain spiritual practices, you might modify them a little bit to fit better with a group. If I'm going to like a big Christian prayer group, I'm probably not going to just start randomly shouting about Rama or something like that, And sometimes you'll feel like you're really alone. You'll feel like either A, people don't get it around you, or maybe that like you feel like you're very different to the people around you and like what they're practicing. Maybe you'll even feel like you're kind of not doing things in the right way because like, well, if I'm the only one doing it this way, then is it truly the correct way to go about it? And those are all good questions to ask. It's always a good idea to question, but it's also a good idea to understand that it's good to remain firm in your faith, that even if difficult things happen and even if you don't necessarily understand why people are doing something different, that doesn't mean that they're doing something wrong and that you're doing it right, or that they're doing, or that you're doing something wrong and they're the ones that are correct. God has so many different ways that you can approach her, and she's not gonna worry too much about your particular method. Some methods I think will work better for particular kinds of people and things like that. Oh, I guess I already killed this guy. I don't remember killing this guy, but I guess I did. And sometimes you need to reinvest in yourself, or reaffirm the things that you're striving for. Because sometimes along the journey, we'll have moments that make us question, or they'll make us kind of look at things in a new light. And when we gain new information, it's always a good idea to process that information and kind of go through with it and try to figure out, what does it mean? Why is God showing me this? Why am I being shown this? What is this? Etc., etc. And sometimes you'll find that you'll come to a conclusion, and it'll be the first conclusion you come to, and at first you'll be satisfied with that, but over time, with new information, new conclusions have to come around. We should not think that we can never change, and we should not think that we will never have different things calling to us. I can think of several Zen masters who, as they got older in life, started going, they were still doing their Zen meditation, still remain Zen, but they maybe started, one of the ones I've seen fairly commonly is, reciting the name of Amida Buddha, the Buddha of infinite light, trying to, or, like, engaging in schools of thought that they previously hadn't really engaged in. Just like sometimes you'll find that, Zen is, as I've heard it described, Zen is great for beginners and it's great for masters, but when you're kind of in that middle part, sometimes you might want to look at other schools and see if their teachings and practices can help you out. And sometimes it's also good, for instance, to have a bit of solitude. Sometimes you'll need time to get away from everything and to, kind of push away the worldly cares for a bit, to kind of refocus and meditate in quiet and, pray to God in quiet. And there's a lot of different ways that you can set this about. But what I would say is start small You don't necessarily want to take everything you got and just like shift it all around or move everything or say, I'm changing all my beliefs because of XYZ event. Sometimes it's good to change beliefs and to, change why you're doing what you're doing. But typically it's better to approach these things much more slowly. And what I would suggest, for instance, is if you want to get closer to God, just give yourself time of day each day where, like, and it can be as little as 10 minutes and it could be as much as like an hour, and just say, I'm going to focus on God, my spiritual path, whatever, for like 10 minutes today, and that's it. This is what I'm doing for these 10 minutes, or I'm doing this for this hour. This hour, if I have the time, is just going to be for meditation, or this hour is just going to be for prayer. And sometimes you need those moments, and you can also kind of see where your difficulties lie, maybe because, especially if you haven't stilled the mind as much as you could, sometimes you'll be sitting there for just 10 minutes and have a hard time keeping different thoughts from permeating your brain and kind of getting you distracted and making you, think about things in a particular light. Because I haven't touched this one. I wonder where this goes. Let's see. And sometimes you'll need these moments to refocus. If you're, for instance, really strongly into there's a Second Church of America. There's a place I'm looking for, but is that the temple I'm looking for? There's like a... Yeah, we'll go over here and I'll see if this is where I'm looking for. I don't think it is. There's like a place you can go around here where you go down and there's like assassins and things and you can kill them. No, this isn't it. I don't remember how to get there, oh my god. I know it's somewhere around here, but... I don't think that's it. Second Church of America. Mirage Rise. Ride the Blood Runs. You know what? That might actually be it there? Maybe? Well, anyway. You can also have moments where if you've had really intense practice, sometimes it's actually good to slow down a little bit and to kind of consider what your next move should be. Maybe if you've been meditating for like 8 hours a day, it can actually be good sometimes to slow down just a little bit. And sometimes we'll push ourselves really hard trying to get, to get the perfect spiritual path going, and we'll like, oh man, we need to push ourselves harder and harder and harder. But you also need time to adjust and to maybe see where you're really sitting. And these are all important things. When you get to the top of this hill. Rawr, 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 rawr. But my main point here is, don't let yourself feel down because you need to slow down. And don't feel down just because something isn't working. I know it can be real discouraging. But, God is willing to open up the path for just about all of us. And... maybe in this life we'll gain enlightenment. Maybe it won't be in this life. Sometimes you'll have to, strive for longer than folks around you. Maybe some things will click and other things just don't click right away. It's important to understand that you should not get discouraged just because something different is happening. Or something that you're not expecting is happening, or that it's not working maybe as well as you'd like it to. understand that there is room for improvement and that you don't always need to, you know, approach everything as if Yep. Ow. Approach everything as if there's only one way forward and you gotta keep ramming your head against the wall until you break through. And, you know, I believe in you guys. I believe in our ability to rise above the things that bother us and to rise above our desires and to really have those things, you know, come around. If you're a householder, sometimes you'll just need a little bit of time to readjust and refocus on God, and to remember that, you know, you don't need to have everything, strictly speaking, only focused on God. I mean, I think that's the best path, but, you know, you're allowed to refocus and you're allowed to take time. Actually, I wonder if I could... Because there was like this little bit of a... No. You see, there's like a little platform right there, so... Nope. Just keep sliding off it. That's fine, though. And to remember that it's important to believe in yourself, to believe in the mercy of God, and to always try to come back to that mercy. And, you know, the best thing to do if you're really in a rut, more than anything, is to wholeheartedly and sincerely open up your heart to God and tell God, like, you know, just speak in plain prayer, plain English, or plain whatever your language is. God, I'm having a hard time and I need your help. You know, be humble. You know, it's not all about becoming the lone operative who's going to succeed at everything. It's about, you know, sometimes there is struggle. Okay? I just wanted to encourage everybody out there with that. And, you know, if you're lonely or if you're having a difficult time, remember that God is always there, and you can always think about Kitty Cat too, who will try to encourage you and help you up if you can. But ultimately, we have to give ourselves over to the will of God and remember that even in difficult times, we have moments where we can prove that we're also stronger than we think we are, and that we always have our bestest friend ever to rely upon, which is, you know, God. Ma Kali, I hope you bless all of the people watching this video and all the people around the world so that they can achieve big spiritual goals full of delicious, tasty juice. Anyway, I hope that you all are having a good time, and I hope that you all feel the love and presence of God. And I'm going to just, I guess I'll just find it later. Anyway, for right now, I'm just going to turn around and I'm going to say, I love you guys. Oops, wrong one. I love you guys. God loves you, and I hope that you have a great one. Bye-bye. Have a great one.